Yeah, finna get it. Watch me, finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. Used to know me when I nothing in my pockets. Now they see me and they talking, always watching. I remember when you said I wouldn't make it. Now you mad because I took it, didn't fake it. Pressing every day, yeah, I was patient. Putting all that work, no hesitation. Now I'm getting everything I'm chasing. Look at me now, yeah, I'm elevation. Finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. See me pulling up, they switching how they acting. Back then, you weren't here when I was lacking. Now you want a piece of what I'm stacking. But I remember everything that happened. Keep it moving, ain't no time for all that talking. I've been running to the bag, I'm never walking. They've been sleeping, I've been up until the morning. Now I'm winning and there ain't no way I'm falling. Finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. Yeah, they doubted me, they did it, now they proud of me.
Hello, everybody. It's the old German guy again here, but don't be afraid. You won't be seeing my face and big time all the time. So we are heading into the nice little split screen very soon, but yeah, you have to endure me for the intro. Sorry about that again. So yeah, it's round one. Race day number 2 today for the Infinity GSeries in 2026. And yeah, let's bring in Finlay again and our lovely little thingy in here. So hello.
Hello there, how are we?
Don't pull out your headphones.
How are you?
I'm fine, a little bit stressed. Work got a little bit late today, but just in time. And we are earlier than yesterday, so that's a big improvement. I think we
Good
are
thing. Hopefully the
really on time.
graphics keep up.
Yeah,
yes.
Hopefully that is, yeah. So we have, yeah, roughly 30 minutes now before we see the cars on track for the qualifying. So we can talk you through a little bit through the entire idea behind the series and also then focus on race day 2 here for round number 1 with 12 more exciting teams there to enter the competition. And we will also recap yesterday's races a little bit. And yeah, I think we'll just go over and guide you through the overall series format. So I'm putting up the Mach 25 Gaming website. You should visit that. Of course, you find all the information here on it, and yeah, so what do we have in here for the series? So let's see, where is the information? So I'm prepared as always. Pretty cool. So let's see what we have in store for 2026. So the website, it cites a more ambitious calendar for 2026. Look at that. I think last year was quite challenging already, but a bit more changes happened to this season, a bit more structured. And yeah, we're going a bit, I think, spending over several months now this time with pre-qualifying and the regular season and then the final 3 rounds. So this, yeah, should establish this Infinity GSeries as one of the most relevant competitions within the esports ecosystem, especially here on Gran Turismo 7 as well. So the teams, yeah, competition is crazy as always in this series, and yeah, probably the main feeder series to the GT Poppy. The big event later this year. And yeah, so we have 24 teams this season entering, and yeah, some quite prominent organizations here as well, and a bit more international as well, not just Spanish teams, also from around the globe, seeing teams and drivers here sim racing. And yeah, if you've watched yesterday races, so yeah, high competition, good racing, fast drivers all around. And with that being said, so let's have a quick overview. The season itself. So we have, yeah, the website is not showing. I'm just reading it because I can't bother to change my layer setup again. But it's all fine. Think. So yeah, we have 7 rounds after, of course, the pre-qualifying that happened a couple of weeks ago. We will get to the teams for pre-qualifying and the qualified teams, how the 12 teams in total are set up. And yeah, so 7 rounds. And then after those, we have final 3 rounds where we see the famous Rockets groups again. Gold, silver, and bronze, competing then for some of the very, very prestigious prize money pool as well. So prize money, I think that is quite a good point I can touch upon, because someone opened up their purchase and decided, here we go, you can have some money. It's for the teams, of course, but the teams will probably distribute it to their drivers here at some point. But yeah, nice to see that prize pool, 1,000 euros and in total. So yeah, I think Finlay, you said yesterday you wouldn't mind having those 1K
not
in
at
your
all.
pocket.
Alejandro, if you ever wanted to open that prize pool up to the commentators, we'd be more than happy to oblige if needed. But yeah, it's phenomenal to see such a big prize pool, especially this not even being the main series, the Mac 25 run. Obviously,
Exactly.
you spoke earlier about all this is leading up to October for GT Pulpy, which I was lucky enough to commentate on last year in the English satellite broadcast. But yeah, no, it's really good that this is, there's obviously a big incentive for these teams. And the fact we had to have a pre-qualifier in the first place because we had so many entries that we couldn't accommodate all the teams, it's a really good sign. And hopefully a lot more teams see the good out of the Mac 25 ecosystem through this competition. Your racing combinations that you might not necessarily run in other series and other events. And then hopefully that will incentivize other teams to come along and try out. Because if you look on the Mac 25 website, as you say earlier on, we have a whole host of other competitions to bring you later on this year before we even think about getting to Pool P. So it really is an exciting time to be involved with Mac 25 right now as a commentator, and especially for the drivers and teams also.
Yeah, definitely. So you said like the cars, the combinations, the tracks and stuff like that. It's not just like box standard Group 3 racing, right? So they're very, very different cars to master than in this series here, and that should make up for some great racing and yeah, not usual stuff we see
Absolutely.
mainly on the game. So let's have a quick look at those 24 teams that have now qualified for the 2026 season, and yeah, see also some colors, the famous colored groups. So we see like there are 3 teams in each group, and then there's a kind of round robin system where each group faces each other at some point throughout those 7 rounds of racing. So the idea is you have like the main rivalry in the groups, and then you also face the other teams. So it's a system that seems to be a bit complex, but I think if you then follow round 1, 2, 3, you get the idea how it's mixed between those groups. And so you can always say that the teams within the group are always like running the same event, the same race. It's just like the other groups will be different than what the teams will be racing. So yeah, we see those names. Let's go through them from top to bottom and see if you spot some interesting or famous names. So there are definitely some very well-known names here in this group, and on top we have, I think, 2 very strong contenders, at least from what I can like Freem Esports and Alien Motorsports. Like those are 2 high caliber teams, in my opinion. I actually don't know the Thunderlights that much, so I'm new to the entire ecosystem, so I can just say what I know, but I definitely know the first 2 with some very fast drivers here. So what can you tell us about? Do you have some insights on those 3 teams?
Well, I
in
mean,
that purple group.
Well, yeah, I mean, Freem Esports, we had their team principal Stefano Conte on yesterday, and he was a fantastic. There's so many insights to give us, and this team, they're the top seeds for the tournament. And indeed, I was saying earlier, we see 3 of the top 4 teams tonight. We see Vanquish later on, and then we also, alongside them, see Krakensteins as well. So tonight's good. It certainly delivers a lot of action, and then even in this lobby as well. So Freeman, Alien, and Thunderlights open up for us tonight. Thunderlights, another team that made the finals at Pool P last year.
All right.
If we look at the bottom, at that light blue group at the bottom, that's the other group that the purple group will be pairing up with tonight. Sees Team Monza Racing, who had 2 very high caliber World Series drivers in their roster last year in Giorgio Mangano and Marco Busnelli, the Italian duo. But they have both jumped ship for this season. So it's an ever-changing roster, new driver lineup. We'll see how those drivers gel through the season for the all-Italian outfit. And alongside them, in that second spot, Visceral Esports, one of the teams that I was looking forward to the most. and that impressed the most in the pre-qualifier. Jaime Marti and Ignacio Lagadas, the two drivers that ran for them. And I'm just in the lobby at the moment, and it looks like they'll be running for them tonight as well. So it'll be the same duo that ran the pre-qualifier. But if you look at their driver lineup, they've only listed 5 names, but two of those other names are 2 drivers that are in the Gran Turismo World Series this year. So Simon Rosenberger, the American, and João Jesus, the Portuguese driver, both representing Visceral this season. So they've got a really strong lineup. Depth may be there to be questioned, but we'll see how that progresses on through the season. But what I can say for a fact is, and I mean, you look at the pink group. That's the other group we'll see tonight. Krakenstein's leading that one alongside Elite Racing Squad. Again, 2 teams that qualified for the Pulpy finals last season. So whereas yesterday we maybe had some unknowns, some driving teams we hadn't necessarily seen before, tonight's going to be a lot more established, a lot more drivers that we know, that we've seen at Pulpy, that we've seen in other competitions before. But it should be just as unpredictable. Like, you can make a case for as many teams and drivers possible taking home the maximum points tonight. And if yesterday's racing was anything to go by, we're in for a phenomenal couple of races tonight.
Yeah. Also, just looking at the current lobby drivers, and it's a bit more international than yesterday already. So seeing those flags next to the drivers, and if I'm not mistaken, the Elite Racing Squad, they're a Polish team, right? So
absolutely,
yeah. So nice to see those international teams that are joining. Of course, like with free esports, like the Italian team, that should be a good one. Even if I spot a French flag for that team, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Alien Motorsport, they have the former world champion Mehdi Hafidi in their lineup, and he'll be running for them tonight. So if that's not in the Nissan for once. We often see him in the Nissan. He's being forced into the Mitsubishi tonight. But if that's not a big name, then I don't know what is. Former world champions in this field. And Freem as well, obviously have Valerio Gallo to their name. Yet to see if he'll be running tonight, but we have potential for a couple of world champions in our field this evening. So that's a really good sign.
Exactly, so exciting stuff here to go through. Let's have a quick look at how this grid has been assembled for the season. So we had like pre-qualified teams for the season based on previous year. So you see those teams here on the nice little graphic that has been provided by the Mac 25 gaming staff, like relentlessly. They are like providing us with awesome graphics and stuff. So yeah, nice to see. And there we see a couple of those big names in here, right? Teams. So they had a good competition last year, so they earned their spot for this season. So that's always important, even like in the end, if you don't make it to the top 6, and after the season you still play for something to earn your spot for the next season here as well. So that's why it's a nice format. And then we had the pre-qualifying, and that saw like definitely more teams than on this slide showing entering, and another 12 teams and making it into this year's grid. And you said like you saw like a couple of new teams, surprising fast teams as well, then in this session. So a nice little mix, I think, here for this season. And yesterday proved us like it's close racing all around. So approaching a little bit towards this round number 1. So yesterday we had the first 2 races, and today races 3 and 4. Same combination still. So it's Deep Forest here, one of the best, if not the best race track in Gran Turismo, according to Finlay, of course. But
absolutely.
Even with the modifications they did for Gran Turismo 7. Well, I'm not an OG player, so I haven't played the older games, so I just got to know this track with this iteration. So it's fine.
No, I love Deep Forest a bit. I started playing Gran Turismo. I've always kind of been a casual player. I feel like in the commentary box I represent your average B-rated driver, not quick, but knows enough about the game to sort of get the perception to your average Joe who's maybe watching for the first time. And one of the things I can say is Deep Forest is genuinely, and always has been, even with the modifications that came in this game, it is one of my favorite tracks, probably my favorite in the game. You know, long turn one, long left hander, and then you get through the infield, and there's corners coming at you every other second. It feels like long back straight. There's a really tight hairpin where you've got to know your braking zone. We saw a couple of incidents coming on into there yesterday evening. One that perhaps even decided the race win in the case of the first race, with the two Owls drivers coming to blows alongside Kaus in the Customs GT car. And then you go up the hill, two fast fleeting corners similar to what you'd see in the infield and across the line. It genuinely, as I say, is one of my favourite tracks in the game. And I think one common denominator from having driven this game a ton in dailies and in the World Series, and I've obviously watched races here before, is it's almost guaranteed action. You know what I mean? Because of that array of corners, vast sweeping turns, and then all comes to an abrupt end with a hairpin at the end of the lap following a massive back straight. But one thing we haven't mentioned yet is we're running Group B cars tonight. And I was saying this yesterday, if you think of road tracks that Group B cars would be suited to, Deep Forest wouldn't necessarily be top of your list because of those long straights. We saw they top out really easily down the straights. So I think what we saw yesterday, the slipstream's going to play a big part. And with the pit stops, I think a few of the teams in the second race yesterday thought the slipstream would negate the disadvantage of running the soft tyres at the end of the race. And indeed, the top four runners yesterday were running softs. So that's an advantage for the 12 teams we'll see running tonight, because they'll have seen that insight that the first runners won't have seen yesterday.
Yeah. So let's bring up the standings after the first 12 teams. And you mentioned like race 2, the top 4 teams, they used the soft tire for their second stint, but the overall fastest time was the medium run.
It was
there for race number 1. So it's still, I think, on overall time, it's quite close to the two strategies, like medium or medium soft. So very interesting to see, definitely. So, and I'm pretty sure many of the drivers and team managers, they have followed yesterday's races and see what will be their strategy. Maybe they had a different strategy in mind, and now they changed their approach to this race here as well. So it's, yeah, it's still a bit of an unknown. So yeah, with like you see the combined times here as well. So across all 4 races, this will in fact then be determined the points, apart from some other bits and pieces around it. But you see it like this. All right, my little instructor told me about, we should talk about the qualifying format now, as we are approaching this qualifying session very, very soon. So yeah, qualifying is definitely not like that box standard 10 minutes, go as fast as you want for as many laps as you want, but there is a twist to it, right? So one-shot qualifying is like probably the catchphrase, but also like some twists in the here and there, maybe. So maybe, Finlay, you can guide us through this qualifying session.
Yeah, sure. So what we've got at its basis is a super pole format. So if any of you at home watch the World Endurance Championship, you'll know the rough idea about it. As you already mentioned, Jens, each driver gets one flying lap to post the fastest time possible. And worth noting for these qualifying sessions, as opposed to the race, it isn't about, aggregate team time. It's just 12 drivers going as quick as they can, and then that sets the grid lineup. So like you'd see in Formula One qualifying, for example, nothing about aggregate timing, just about go as fast as you can over the one lap. But of course, because this is Mac 25 gaming, we have to make things a bit more complex, right? So the way we're running it here is the drivers are all going to come out of the pit lane at the start of qualifying. They're going to do a lap round, and they're going to stop in what we call the waiting zone. And then we're going to have, which is going to be on the runoff at the hairpin, the final braking zone of the circuit of Deep Forest Raceway. And then the first three teams are going to be called by our race director, Alejandro Garnata. So for this race here, the three teams you'll see being called first are, in order, Abu Tada, Thunderlight, and then Visceral. So three teams that came through the qualifier of the 6 teams that are running in this first race.
So they're going to come two drivers per team, right? So
two drivers per team, one in the Mitsubishi and one in the Subaru. And we'll maybe get to those slight differences later on. But in order, those teams are going to come into pit lane. They're 2 cars. They're going to fill up, probably change tyres as well, even though they're not obligated to. The different, it's these things that may cost a millisecond, you know what I mean? So drivers will probably change their tyres as well. They'll then get one full out lap, and then that's it. One flying lap. If you make a mistake, that's it. We saw that yesterday. A couple of cars, Jokers had a pretty poor qualifying session. We saw teams utilize the slipstream, so one car tucked in behind the other, because as we say, slipstream's going to cost a lot of tenths during this race. If you're not in behind your teammate, that could cost you big time. It's very much going to be a sort of Tour de France style peloton kind of race we're predicting. And then once the drivers have completed their flying lap, they then stop in what we call the stopping zone, which is on the runoff of turn 1 in the grass. And then the other 3 teams in the session will go. I've probably botched that explanation, made it much longer and labour than it needs to be. But I promise you, it's really easy to figure out once you actually see it. If you didn't watch yesterday, it's a really exciting format. There are points up for grabs. Each team gets a bonus point if one of your drivers wins pole position. And then if you set the fastest qualifying time overall, you get an additional bonus point on top of that across of the 4 races. So at the moment, the Bhutan for Al set the pole time yesterday, so Al's get an extra bonus point. But João Pessoa, the World Series driver, Brazilian, set pole in race 2 yesterday for 92 Esports. And so he gets the bonus point. But on top of that, he also gets an additional provisional bonus point by the fact his time, which is a 1:26.953, so that's the time we need to keep an eye out for in these 2 races tonight, that he gets another bonus point on top of that, because that's the fastest overall qualifying time we've seen across the 4 races so far.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really exciting to see this yesterday, like the 2 cars usually driving very close on track, and some different approaches as well to this. So we saw some teams were opting for bump drafting coming into the flying lap, and others mainly focused on the toe, then down the back straight and out of a DD hairpin to capitalize on it. So we can, I guess, expect some 26s today as well.
We hope.
The settings should be completely equal. Like there is no wind, so equal conditions, so no weather shenanigans or whatever. So it's like across all 4 lobbies, races will be the same conditions. So it's then purely on pace. And I think some of the fastest lap times yesterday during qualifying were without slipstream. So it was some of those, they were the lead car, and they did that really fast lap time, and we can look forward to a really close grid usually. So I think most of the grid yesterday was within 4 or 5 tenths of a second. So I hope we can see something similar today as well for these races. So we are not far off qualifying, and so it's always this time where we need to give our picks who are the favorites for today for qualifying, and later on for the race, of course, as well.
Right. Okay. Gun to the head. I'm looking at the timings in the lobby right now, and the top 5 cars are sub 27, which is
Oh,
really impressive. So both of the Freem cars, both of the Visceral cars, and Feros, who's running for Thunderlights this evening, all sub 27. And the other Thunderlights car, Ekin, the Turkish driver, is a 27.001 at the moment. So very close and very quick times. At 26.6 from Jujo, one of the Freem drivers, really young French driver who's been coming up through the ranks for a while. Used to race for Prima, if I remember correctly. And he's set a 26.6, so that's a fantastic effort from him on the softs. Whether he can replicate that in qualifying or not, who knows when the pressure's on. And he's the lead car as well in that free pairing, so he doesn't even have the slipstream, and he's managed to set that time. I'm sort of on that basis, and he better not let me down here. I'm going to go with Juju for pole position. But during the race, the two, like what I've seen from both of these Visceral cars last season, they're both drivers that have come from other teams. So Jaime Marti is signed from Owls, and I believe it was Legata. I can't quite remember what team. I think it was Reds. Legata signed from season. Do correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I think we have a couple more knowledgeable people in there as well who can maybe correct me. But both of those cars, both of those drivers, really known for their racecraft and being able to come up through the field. So I'm gonna go Jaime for the win. I'm gonna go Juju on pole position. That's my prediction.
looking at those warm-up times, yeah, definitely. But you have like plenty of laps during the warm-up compared to the one shot. So this is like always
Very true.
something hard to predict. One little mistake, and yeah, that's probably it. And yeah, I'm looking at the warm-up currently, and I feel like a certain French driver is sandbagging a little bit at the moment still. Wait for it, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, no, he is. He is on the soft side. They're all the majority of drivers in. There's only one driver in the field, maybe running race laps on the mediums, and that's Galakoitz in the Avartura car. I think he's running race laps at the moment, race simulation times. But many yeah, he's on the soft compound tires. Maybe hasn't set a representative lap time. But I think, as you say, if you look at the best drivers in the world, Medi's right up there. I've had the privilege of commentating on him when I was with Pure Racing League, and obviously at Pulpy this year. And each and every time I've seen him behind the wheel of a race car, he finds new and interesting ways to completely blow my mind. So, yeah, Medi could be a shout for poles. Is that going to be your pick?
He's slowly getting there, but so I know him as well from the endurance racing stuff, and he is always, if he's competing for qualifying, he's always one to watch. So, but yeah, I think the SFE drivers, they look pretty strong currently, both with a 26.6 currently here in that warm-up lobby, so it's hard to bet against them. So I guess I go with Pepe then.
Okay, right. We're split. We're split allegiances with the Freem cars for qualifying. Then imagine our faces when a Visceral car puts it on pole. Just watch it.
Yeah, it's like always the case with us commentators doing predictions. We never get it right. So
the commentator's curse.
It's not really the curse, but like that's why we are commentators and not racing, because we don't have a clue about.
I think it is worth noting. I think it is worth noting that the quickest pole time set yesterday was from Joao Pessoa for 92.
Yep.
It was a 26.9. But as you say, that one lap format might come into it, because the fastest time we saw all three yesterday wasn't actually in qualifying. It was in the race. Carrot, one of the Azteca racing drivers, set a 26.5. Exactly. 4/10 quicker than the pole time. So I think in the race we might see slightly quicker times just by purely having that factor, being able to bed in on the soft tyres, get them up into temperature on the working window, getting used to the feel. Because even as a B-rated driver, you're able to tell the difference between medium and soft compound tyres and worn tyres and new tyres. So for these drivers, that difference will be amplified even more. So we might not see groundbreaking levels. I would be very impressed if we got to a 26.6 during actual qualifying.
Yeah, so
but it's a very good omen for the race that the three drivers are setting quick times now.
Yeah, we saw yesterday, like also with the fuel being way down on the second stint. So this actually helped then with the soft tires, and qualifying you basically have a full tank, and you can't really burn fuel that much. So yeah, we will see. But I think we will be starting this qualifying session now, so we'll go to the full screen. And then let's wait for the signal and to come. And let's do the super service in here. Look at that. Top 6 teams on your screen as well, on the bottom left, so you get an idea about who is currently would be going to the gold rockets. It's just round 1, I know, guys, and we haven't seen all teams, but this is like probably the overlay for the rest of the season. You always get those top 6 like showing during the race, so you know, like live leaderboards, like who would be qualified for this one. And yeah, let's wait for our lobby host then to start.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that, like, giving a brief explanation as to how the championship works in terms of the points. So points are allocated to teams based on their race positions within the lobby. So like the race winning driver gets 15 points for winning an individual race. But teams are also battling it out to cut their aggregate time as low as possible, because per round each team are also guaranteed points based on the aggregate time for your drivers to finish. So one consideration that drivers might go to is to avoid fighting as much as possible early on in the race, maybe establish a couple of allegiances within intra-team kind of expectations, so the race time can be lowered as much as possible. We saw Owls yesterday, Owls Esports, take home a 1-3. 92 Esports took home a 1-2 in the second race. But you see there, Owls have the quicker aggregate race time. And so at the moment, with the points added on, provisionally, of course, these teams might beat it tonight. Owls would actually lead the championship by a couple of points in hand, even though 92 have the extra points from the race allocation themselves.
But it's still like finish high gives you good points, so this is still like the best way to score points, like win your race.
Very true, very true. And of course, finishing your race first guarantees you'll have the highest aggregate timing as well, or lowest aggregate timing within your split. But these teams, so Owls, 92 Customs GT, will be waiting in bated breath, watching tonight to see whether these teams are able to go lower with their aggregate times and cut their points allocation at the end of the round as well.
So just before this warm-up ended, the Visceral drivers, they have closed that gap to the 3M Esports drivers at a 0.7 each, so it will be mighty close, probably between those two teams. So could we see top 4 those two teams maybe? Not long until we find out, so now let's see that all drivers will head out now on track.
Here we go, and then this is where it gets slightly complicated, but do stick with us here. They're just going to go on an outlap, and they're going to go on their merry way as if they're about to start a random qualifying session. Then bam, they all go into the runoff at the end of the hairpin. Sensational scenes, but don't worry, that is all part of the plan. And then it will be the first 3 teams, the 3 teams that came through the pre-qualifier. So that's Avitada, Visceral, and the other team was, forgive me, Tonight, of course, who was setting some pretty good times in the warm-up as well. Those 3 teams, they're going to run first, and then we're going to invite the other 3 teams to the circuit thereafter. So Alien, Monza, and Freem to run their laps as well. And then by the end of the 10-minute qualifying session, we'll have our grid lineup ready to go. But just bear with us here, just as we get the formalities out of the way. You'll see in the lobby chat in the bottom left-hand corner when the teams get cold. They'll come into pit lane, they'll top up on fuel and tyres, they'll do their full out lap, and then the flying lap begins.
Exactly. And the parking lot, by the way, this was my creation, not Finlay's. So,
yeah,
Mr. Alf, I just want to make that clear. So
I appreciate the compliment, Alf, but do not give me credit for Jens's fantastic idea.
It's a Jaeger trademark now, so stop it. So here we go. Come on, camera, show us the cars at some point. So cars are missing. There's a bad camera angle here.
Maybe
I can't
change
see any
camera to
cars.
the hood.
Come on, here we go. On board,
There we
we
are.
see
That's
him.
what we like to see.
Yeah, but
And
here we go.
then the in-game lobby chat is actually being blocked at the moment by that leaderboard, but the Abutada cars now on their way. It's Galacoit and Perry, the two drivers behind the wheel. They'll file into pit lane together, and then they'll do their lap and get going. But what we saw a lot yesterday in qualifying was the slipstream being used. And you feel like that's going to be a crucial aspect. But we saw yesterday in qualifying, if drivers get too close together, especially down that back straight, you mentioned earlier against teams attempting the bump drafting tactic, that is so often perceived negatively in other series, but not here in Mach 25, where we encourage chaos and disorder. But we saw it yesterday with the Joker's team. They came into contact with each other down the back straight because they were getting at too close quarters with the draft, and that completely ruined one of their drivers' runs, and any hope of them getting further up.
Exactly, so one driver then started last, basically due to that mistake. A teammate still got a decent qualifying position, but I think, of course, you would like start next to your teammate. You can play your team tactics in this. All right, so outlap then happening for our 6 drivers, 3 teams. Just waiting for Visceral then to go on. So nice gaps on the track, so should be no interference between them. And then let's go to the first team to set a lap time. So we see this format, like 2 cars in the same livery but different cars. So Subaru and Mitsubishi. And for the team, drivers have to decide who picks which car. So they are not too far off what we learned yesterday. So top end on the Lancer, not as good as on the WRX. And I think we'll go on board. I like the onboard for the first lap, so we get the idea. The undulations a little bit here on this track coming into turn number 1. So don't be too aggressive on the throttle. Still, it's 4-wheel drive. It's okay, a little lift needed for the right-hand turn into the chicane and maximize the track. Not as smooth as we see. Also,
oh wow,
big drift. Nice on camera, but we were wrong yesterday as well when we saw like those lines. Maybe a little bit of slip angle is maybe beneficial.
There were some really ugly laps yesterday that ended up in the top splits. It was very impressive. The car's heading down the back straight now into 5th gear. And what I'm wanting you to notice is, hey, firstly, look at the gap. Perry is not picking up much of that slipstream at all. He will be picking up some of it. It's about a second is the slipstream we're looking at. But it's not much, or as much as we've seen from other cars. Very conservative strategy from Abutada so far. But also how early those cars topped out as well. So that slipstream really is going to be costing you tenths and tenths of a second. All nice and tidy through the hairpin for now. And then it's up the hill, 2 corners you can take flat out. And then it's up towards the finish line. And we'll see our first 2 benchmark times of the night being set by the Abutada pairing of Galacoit in front and then Perry behind. Will this be in the 20s? No, it won't even be in the 20s. Oh, it does get in the 27s.
Yeah, high 27s.
And then it's 28.8 for Perry. That is one of the slowest times we've seen this weekend, so not particularly good. As we look at Thunderlights now, these cars were setting sub-27s, both of them. So these could be outsiders for pole as well in the blue and white livery. But again, there's a bit of a gap there maybe that we didn't see yesterday. Yep. Drivers look definitely closer as Ferros heads up to the line first. And let's see if we can beat that 27.8.
27 incoming. Yeah, low 27.
Oh, that's very good lap.
So now one of our favorites according to the warm-up. Here both drivers with sub-27s. And they are close. See, that's the difference. And it's 26. Just 26.96. That's not that 0.95 so far. But a very strong qualifying from Visceral. Both drivers basically the same time.
Yeah, so provisional pole for Ignacio Lagadas and a provisional front row lockout for the Visceral team. But as you said, Jens, crucially, is that 1:26.953 we're looking at for the fast overall time, currently held by Joao Pessoa for 92 Esports, held yesterday. But now it's the turn of the three, I suppose you could say three seeded teams. So we have Alien Motorsport up front, Danny and Mehdi Hafidi, a man who needs no introduction, but I think we've given him plenty anyway. Followed up by the Team Monza Racing cars. Two cars, a team, as you say, that had Busnelli and Mangano amongst their ranks last year, but have suffered depletions within that driver lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound. And then our favourites for pole, Sim Freemy Sports, with Juju, my pick for pole, and Pepe, Jens's pick for pole. We'll see if they can top that one up there, see who can win the intra-commentator battle, if any. 26.9 is a very good lap, so we could maybe see Visceral up top as well. But we're on with the Monza team at the moment, but Alien heading down the back straight at the moment to begin their flying lap as we see the Freem cars exit the pit lane.
They will, exactly, yeah. And Zach in chat, Maddie! Yeah, I know. The Maddie fanboys are in the chat. Good to
Absolutely.
see you, Zach, by the way.
One of
How are you, mate?
Fan favourite drivers, Mehdi, absolutely.
And Maddie will be leading Alien Motorsport team. And on that, bit of a wiggle coming out of the hairpin.
But yeah, it's so like we were saying before.
He's arguably in the slower car with the top end, but might be still okay if he gets a little bit of a bump then towards the end of the lap. So let's see. Alien Motorsport now on their flying lap. During the warm-up, they were pretty similar on pace, the two. So, but will they be able to beat the Visceral team? Let's see, it's definitely now time to drop the sandbags.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier that the more comfortable driver in qualifying tends to go at the front.
Yeah.
So as not to cost the backward driver any more time by just sort of harbouring them through the corners. So I'm not necessarily surprised to see Mehdi up front. I am maybe a bit more surprised to see him in the Mitsubishi, but perhaps the thinking is that Danny needs a bit more top end. Maybe his corner isn't as good as Mehdi, hence why he's in the Subaru and maybe why Mehdi's in the Mitsubishi there. But some interesting lineups. I think this is the first time I've seen the Mitsubishi front run, because normally you think the Mitsubishi could, take advantage of the slipstream compared to the Subaru. But no, we'll see how this one turns out. All looks relatively neat and tidy. Danny has closed that gap, though.
Definitely.
That was the slipstream definitely working out there as we head up the top of the hill, and we see our first times of this second mini session for the
Danny
Alien Motorsport team.
Would be a bit quicker than Maddie during that lap, pretty sure. And it's a 26. 36 for Danny. What
Danny.
A lap time! Wow.
Danny Camacho with a fantastic time, and that is absolutely blitzed the top overall time so far. So provisionally, the bonus points heading to Alien, but let's take a look at Monza and see what they can do.
But that was like probably the perfect distance there to gain in the slipstream on that final couple of meters. And those two are also pretty close, and a 27.0 for Arasa. So we have
very aggressive pump from
the final two drivers.
Timo.
And a bit of a gap between Choo-Choo and Pepe. 26.791 Choo-Choo.
Yes! My pick came through!
That's 1-0 for you.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, what a fantastic... The top two times set the entire weekend, and maybe that's why, maybe it's what we talked about earlier, those drivers having an extra day to prepare. Maybe that's helped them cut that 10th or so, or even those thousandths of a second. That's a phenomenal effort from Juju, and also shout out to Danny as well. Very good effort. 3 times sub 26.9, and that means the provisional bonus point with 1 race left to go for fastest qualifying overall is going to the top seeds in the entire tournament in Sim Freemy Sports. It's Juju on pole, but crucially those 2 cars are split by the Alien car of Danny Camacho.
Yeah, and Choo-Choo was leading this team here on this lap as well, so basically not slipstream assistant. So yeah,
maybe a bit
so far.
Yeah, no, maybe a bit of bump drafting down the back straight benefited as well. But one thing I did notice actually was the Team Monza racing cars. Actually, I believe it was Simo who was in the slipstream. Simo Vignola, one of the Italian drivers, he's starting P9 in this race. There was a very aggressive bump. I'm not sure if that was netcode of some form, but I was on the onboard with Simo in my, because we're both in the lobby, so I can be a bit more observant of stuff happening towards the back end, maybe that the on-camera feed isn't picking up on. There was a very aggressive bump heading up the hill that I think cost Simo a tenth of a second or two, because they were very close heading up to the line, but the gap, 6th to 9th, is about 3/10 of a second, so I think that might have cost some time for Simo as he starts 9th in this race compared to his teammate who will go from 6th in the second slot of the 3rd row.
Yep. Again, P10 with that 27.37. Yeah. Let's just ignore those pretty fast travels, 0.7, 0.8. So then we again. Great competition, and yeah. Race will be up next, 19 laps. Just bring up race results for little and see. So here, hello, your faces again. So
but yeah, yeah. No, I'll tell you what. I was doing some laps earlier on this evening, and I was chuffed. I thought I'd got a really good lap hooked up together, and that was a 34. And I'm like, I'm not even 5 seconds slower than it. It's ridiculous. Like, even a 28.8, like, the Avitada cars will go from 11 to 12 this evening. A 28.8 is a very good lap. But just comparatively with the other cars in the field, it's maybe not as good a one. But it's still, it just shows how incredibly quick you have to be able to cut it out in this series. Avitada have had to go the hard way through the pre-qualifier. And yes, they're not maybe going from as good a position as they would have wanted, but they're still a very quick team. And we saw so much chaos, so much unpredictable elements happen during this race. You have no idea what's going to happen. But one of the benefits that they'll have, and this is also a benefit that Visceral have from 4th and 5th, is that the teammates are right next to each other. We spoke yesterday about split teammates. The Thunderlights cars are 7th and 10th on the grid. The Alien cars, Danny with a monster time in 2nd, Mehdi Afidi going from 8th.
Yep.
That could be the critical element. The two Freem cars can work together, and that's what we saw with Owls yesterday. And they maybe left Kaus out to dry a couple of times. Danny needs Mehdi to get up there, so I think Mehdi will fight quick to get past the cars early on in this race, maybe go for a slightly more aggressive strategy, nip in behind him with the fuel for fuel saving. But I think Danny needs Mehdi up there as quick as possible, so expect to see some bold moves from the Frenchman, former World Series world champion, heading into turn 1 to start this race.
Yeah, we'll definitely be eager to make up a couple of positions. So yeah, but also like in the second race yesterday, the 92 team, they also were like always close during those opening laps, and then they could work together and build that gap with their strategy and run longer on the mediums to finish on those softs. So this was a very crucial moment and for the team. So if you are close to your teammate, and as you said, for Alien Motorsports, like P2 and P8, there are a couple of cars sitting in between those two drivers. So this will be interesting. And yeah, we had it a couple of times yesterday, the opening couple of corners, especially in that mid-pack. There were some battles going on, some bit of door rubbing. The track just has its limits, right? You cannot go for wide through those turns, and then there are gaps appeared suddenly. Race 1 is especially 2 seconds between P5 and P6 after four corners, so that was good for the front runners. Race 2 yesterday, it was also a 1 second gap between P4 and P5, but then somehow the grid bunched up again. There were a couple of penalties that helped the drivers behind again to close that gap. So we'll see what it will be. And
Yeah.
looks like we are starting this race now. So let's go to this time again, so I don't miss it like yesterday. No, you're fine. All right, 19 laps. Medium or medium soft. This will be the strategy. Then can't see anyone doing soft.
Just looking through the field at the moment, and no, thank goodness they're all on mediums to start this one.
Here you go. See, handbrakes are being activated. And it's lights out. And Danny with a good start. Juju has to go defensive already, covering the inside line. And also the visceral drivers. Ooh, avoiding action. They nearly lost the car. And Maddie on the inside here as well. Car got loose, but made up 2 positions already.
Told you he'd be aggressive to start this race.
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd be that aggressive. Very impressive effort from the former world champion. And Logatis has also made a good start, getting ahead of Pepe as well, for third for the Visceral team. So Jaime Marti will look to try and get by Pepe as well and stick with his teammate if he can make a move heading down towards the hairpin for the first time as we exit the infield and take the left-hander down the back straight.
This got much more line of stir compared to yesterday's races through that mid-pack. And now we see probably the slipstream battles coming down the backstretch through the 2 tunnels. Still close this time, and let's go to the front and see what will happen heading into the hairpin. Juju still in that lead, and then there was a little bit of contact.
Oh my goodness!
It was just a little bit traffic jam.
Feedy got shuffled out wide there as well. He tried to get around the outside of Marty, and that's invited Ferros in, the Thunderlights driver, up the inside of Marty heading into the final corner, but Marty has that overspeed in the Subaru as well, and that will invite Ferros maybe for a move towards turn 1 as the Thunderlights driver looks to take advantage of a bit of a mistake being made from the Visceral driver in the battle for 5th, and he does go up the inside, but can he get it done? No, good defensive driving from the former Owls runner Jaime Marti, but that has opened up a 7th, 10th gap between 4th and 5th, and that could be crucial later on, as we say.
Exactly, so again, single file through turns 2, 3, 4. Now this is important, side by side. Looks fun, but is not that fast, so you don't want to lose contact to the rest of the grid in front of you. So that's why it's a bit more calmed down, at least from the outside, this racing. So they try to like stay in contention for this position, and it's sorted a little bit. Still like not the teammates driving next to each other, but it could happen at some point. So Pepe lost position, he's down to P4. Danny is still defending for Alien Motorsport, is under pressure now. So he will probably lose that position, that run out of the hairpin. Or Gadas, not able to complete that move. So he stays in P3. Pepe in fourth position.
All very conservative, a lot more conservative than I expected so far.
Definitely. Again, a different race. So race 1 was different from race 2, and this one also has its own dynamics at the moment. So not that many overtakes, more like working together, waiting for the moves towards the later stages of that race, pretty sure. So we get a very compact and close grid, though we jump back to P12. That's 5.5 seconds separating the grid, and we have a little bit of a gap between P10 and P11.
Yeah,
so
I think the Avatar, the cars have kind of got caught up a little bit maybe they don't have the paces. There's actually a move being made. I think Perry's managed to get past Carl points in that battle for 11th there. But that fighting won't necessarily help, but it will help the fuel save, as we say. The two drivers working together to try and minimise fuel spend for both of these drivers. But yeah, as we say, very line and stern heading up towards turn 1. As we say, that maybe move for Legatus. No, he showed the nose to Danny on the inside. Nothing being done there. As we say, maybe just working together, mutually fuel saving each other, pushing each other along, just trying to make the most of it. Like we want to keep our noses clean early on. We saw drivers get caught up in incidents in the opening laps of races, especially in race 1 yesterday. That didn't help people's matters at all. It didn't help anyone. It didn't help the drivers caught up. It didn't help the drivers forced to the back. So maybe just keeping our noses clean nice and early here to ensure there's no early race incidents, because that's something we don't want to see if you're a driver.
Yeah, it was fantastic to watch this constant battling yesterday. So this has a very
100%.
different dynamic, and it looks like also the drivers, they are not that aggressive. Like, I've barely seen any penalties so far on those opening laps. So compared to yesterday, where we saw aggressive driving and a couple of track limit penalties, then. Oh.
Speaking of, Jaime Marti up the inside of Pepe in the battle for 4th as well. He's managed to get the move done, very aggressive driving, and now the two Visceral cars are together, but they're all being held up by Danny up top, who's doing a tremendous job here of holding the cars behind, but you can't help but sense there'll be moves made in towards turn 1.
Danny is calling for Maddie. Come on, mate! Help me! And now on the inside, can he defend it? He still has the outside, can get onto the pole a little bit earlier, maybe hanging around the outside. He has track position for the right-hander. Now it's side by side, and yeah, this is punching up the grid behind. A little bit of contact between Dani and Jaime. And now Dani losing 2 positions to the Visceral team. But this brings him closer to Maddie. So,
goodness, I mean that's probably the best way you could have put it from an alien point of view. But especially with that infield section, if you get knocked wide, or if you get pushed out wide, or you brake late, it's so hard to get back in the pack there because it's such a tight section of the circuit. And Danny's been completely outcast, and he's actually going to get passed by the Thunderlight's car of Ferros as well. So 4 cars have gotten by Danny there, but as you say, at least the 2 alien runners are together now. But it's a nightmare start for Danny at least, but it's very good now for Visceral because the 2 cars working together in 2nd and 3rd. They got an 8th, 10th gap to Juju in front in the Simfreen car, but they'll be working together to try and bring that gap down as much as possible because they are racing for the same team.
Exactly, so it's just 3 seconds, so it's not that major loss. Still, probably will be more happy to run P2 than P6, but on the other hand, you are united with your teammate and you can now play the team game and go to your pre-planned strategy. Let's see if that will be the case. There's still close racing, and see now the 2 teams we have mentioned earlier on, Freemy Sports and Visceral, they are now 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not completely like next to each other. You're looking at the Freemy Sports team, but that's close enough, I think, and maybe both teams will be happy. And as Alf said in the stream chat, so the race time will be very crucial. So they are focusing on like lap times and they avoid this constant fighting. And we will see if this will actually benefit the teams then for the overall finishing time. Of course, it looked like also like a bit of an alliance between the 2 teams. The Choo-Choo got a little bit of a bump, even. Well, not going for moves. That's interesting to see starting lap 7.
Yeah, and I think part of the decision making behind that is Juju's punching a hole in the air for the 2 Visceral cars. I think this is kind of a case of a race you don't want to lead until the very end, because at the end of the day, Juju's not being able to use the slipstream of anyone for fuel saving purposes, whereas the two visceral cars are being able to tuck in behind Juju in front and get some slipstream off of them, meaning they can maybe lift off a bit earlier and save some fuel in that case. And actually looking at the fuel deficit between the two cars, it's actually fairly even. I'm a bit Juju actually seems to have a bit more, which I'm surprised by looking at the two lead cars at least. So a very good effort from the Frenchman, but I can see why the visceral cars are wanting to hold position for now at least. Maybe not wanting to get into fights and waste their opportunities too early on. Just stick with the race leader for now. That's what I would do. I think they're making a good call here.
Yeah. Also my impression here, we still have like top 7 less than 3 seconds separated. And then there's probably the first tiny gap between P7 and P8, Medi and Ekin. Like, so this could be the group split. Now top 7 and then on the rest of the grid where we looking at the mini-map. So there are some bigger gaps even behind those drivers.
I'll tell you what, it's been a dreadful start to the race for Team Monza Racing. Currently running 8th and 10th. Exactly. And I'm surprised by that. Because, I mean, we mentioned they do have some deficiencies from last season in their lineup, but this is the team that was fighting at the very end up at Pilpy for the title. And they're the second seed in their group. They were one of the outside favourites, maybe not favourites, but dark horses certainly for the title. But it has not been a good start to this race for them. They're currently split by the Thunderlights car of Aiken. But for one of the top seeds, that's not what you want to see. And also worth noting that Danny, the alien car that got cut astray in the infield at start of lap 4, has managed to set the fastest lap of this race. So he is currently the fastest car on track as he looks to bridge the gap for 5th between Veros. But Juju's been passed, actually, in amongst all that action by the two visceral cars. Interesting times. Maybe Juju wanted to tuck in and use the slipstream a bit more, didn't put up much of a fight for that overtake. So again, maybe it's a race he doesn't necessarily want to lead. Maybe he wants to come in behind the two visceral cars and fuel save a bit more. But it'd be interesting to see now if we see any cars pit in. We saw cars pit in at the end of lap 8. I suppose you could say the pit window's kind of open. We saw cars pit in lap 8, 9, 10, 11. So expect cars to come in anytime soon.
Yeah, I think even lap 12 for those soft tire runners yesterday.
Yes.
So yeah, but you said like it's now the pit window is open for both strategies now, medium. If you want to use the softs, of course you have to run a little bit longer than on this first stint. And yeah, I have a feeling that the Juju just trying to save some fuel now. So he was leading for most of the race, and now he probably feels like, yeah, pace is good, but I need to get that fuel into a better range. So he's a bit down compared also to his teammate, maybe also due to the car difference, X versus Lancer,
but the
driving style.
But the big thing is, the two Freem cars have significant, well, maybe not significant, but they do have more fuel already than the visceral cars. So I'm predicting maybe that these guys, the two Freem cars, are going to work together, try and save a bit more fuel, and then by the time the pit stops are done, all the teams come in. Maybe it's just going to be qualifying laps till the end of the race for the two Freem cars to try and use that extra fuel that they have to their advantage and try and burn off as much as possible towards the end. Because in an ideal world, you want to be finishing the race with 0 fuel left. But whilst that's going to be pretty difficult to achieve, they're going to need to find a way to burn that excess fuel later on, whilst the visceral cars might be saving.
Yep. I will also like maybe go for the fuel undercut then during the pit stop and get your cars in front and then push a little bit to open up a gap. It's now probably the very crucial phase of this race now with the pit stops like pending, and it's still really close and not much overtakes going on in this race. So yeah, very different, but a very strategic race, this third race for the season opener. And yeah, it's nice to see, not like that every race looks the same. So cool to see
Yeah.
different approaches, and for
And
the
I tell you what,
teams.
this is gonna be helping the aggregate time, because there's not much fighting going on at all between any of these teams. So at the end of the day, fighting loses you time as the two visceral cars come
Ooh, they're
in
in.
and the two Freem cars stay out. So I'm wondering maybe if a phrase you might hear in Formula One a lot is box to overtake. If a car comes in, you stay out. If a car stays out, you come in. Maybe the Freem cars saw the visceral cars come in, and they're like, "Now we can extend a couple more laps." Simo, the other car staying out for Team Monza Racing, the other other 9 cars all coming in. Maybe we see the Freem cars extend for a couple of laps and run the softs at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Interesting to see, despite the soft strategy prevailing yesterday evening, most teams still opting to stay on the mediums.
That's true, but yeah, maybe Stefano Conte got a little of inspiration yesterday when he was watching with us the races and their team. Now, we have cars inside of each other. Maddie and Jaime Marti. Come on, get it sorted. And I don't want to have like babies between WRX and Lancer, but they're still inside of each other, so Maddie's backing out now, I
Goodness
think.
me. It's a rather unedifying scene you've painted there. But Mehdi Afidi's done a fantastic job with the fuel save there. He's obviously had to take significantly less fuel than the two visceral cars. And depending on when the Freem cars come out, where the Freem cars come out after they stop, Afidi could be in the fight for the race lead here very potentially towards the end of this race.
Yeah, he was definitely stable. And the leaders are in. Fuel difference still significant between the two drivers. And Zemo, he is staying out for Team Monza Racing, so he's probably going for the soft tires then for the final couple of laps for this race. Everyone else should be doing the medium. It would be too early to go to the softs now, I'm really sure. Let's see how much fuel will go into cars. Will they stay in the lead?
Yes.
Yep, and they will.
Quite comfortably as well, but crucially, the visceral cars and Medi, their tyres are now up to temperature. They're in the working window, whereas the Freem cars have cold tyres, because there are a very complex underlying tyre physics in Gran Turismo. So the Freem cars will have cold tyres. The two visceral cars and Medi Afidi, their tyres will be up to temperature. So they now need to make hay while the sun shines and get past Juju with a massive drift there. You can see he's not taking well to those tyres at all. So if the visceral cars can get a move done down the back straight here potentially, that puts him at bay. But Pepe has a very decent gap in front, 1.1 seconds between the two Freem teammates.
Yeah, Pepe with that fuel advantage, so coming out of pit lane, and also think put in a bit less fuel than his teammate, so that gave him the advantage. Zemo is in now, so that's the last driver.
I'll keep an eye out and see what tyres he's coming on as you stick with the race battle here for the lead.
Second between Pepe and Juju, and Juju's tyre should be up to temps now, and now he has the tyre advantage for the final lap of the race.
Yes.
So yeah, Dream Esports in a very good position to win this race and also like finish in a very good overall time.
And it is the soft compound tyres for Simo. So very he's filtered out in 8th, so behind the alien car of Danny. But if you're Monza Racing, you're performing well below what you expected. This is just the roll of the dice for them, something different. See, they can work their way up because they need points here, and it's just not happening for them. So maybe towards the back end, maybe like laps 16, 17, we sort of see a few more moves made in the midfield by Simo as those soft tyres come into their working window. But you will have to suffer the consequences at the back end of this one.
I mean, he's still in a strong position, just 3 seconds behind the leaders and at the tail of this chase group, basically, and with those soft tires. So will he go aggressive now, going for some moves? Probably he should make use of the soft tires now. don't wait for too long. So will we see that first move? No, not yet into the hairpin, but maybe setting it up for turn 1 then. Should have better acceleration out of the hairpin.
Yeah, Hafidi had a look up the inside of Jaime Marti for fourth as well. He's getting very racy now, trying to get past the two visceral cars in front. No move being made there. Good defensive driving from the Spaniard. But watch for a move potentially being made into the hairpin next lap. I think he's a bit far behind Medi at the moment to try and get that move done into turn 1. But there could be action happening at the hairpin at the end of this one because the former world champion is looking very racy indeed and behind the wheel of that alien car.
Yep. See if I can manage to do some weird stuff. No, I'll just go dub. I couldn't do it any smoother with just 2 hands, but we go. This is one of my favorite camera perspectives, so it's a trademark Jaeger cam moment on stream, so I have to do it at some point. So, but we get like a really good shot, and from Choo with those 6 cars behind him. Very close, and he still benefits from that slipstream from his teammate, so he probably won't be under attack into the hairpin. Or will he? Might just be fine, yeah.
There was bump drafting from the 2 visceral cars to try and get up to Juju, but they couldn't quite manage it.
And it's Dani versus Simo, and yeah, as expected, Simo now going for moves. Hasn't got it yet. Has the better line, probably for turn number 1 on the inside now. Should keep that position. Maybe Dani in P8 really go for the dive. No, he's on the mediums. Simo can brake a tiny bit later. And it's just 2 seconds to the leader, so it's I don't know. We saw like the soft tires were performing really good yesterday with a lighter car, but there are also just 6 drivers you have to get a move on. So I don't know. It's doable with 4.5 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on that, and with that close racing, it's really hard to tell. And I'm still surprised that the top runners, they keep it so clean during this race, barely seen any penalties. So that is key for them to have that close racing. Saw 2 wide side by side.
Very defensive driving from Juju there as the 2 visceral cars come to blows, and Juju was actually trying defensive driving at the start of this lap as well into turn 1. Marty and Lagadas very keen to get past here on Juju, but the 2 free drivers, I think this is just it now. I think this is just qualifying laps to the end. I think they're all similar fuel rates, similar tyres as well to be able to hold on to the end. This is just a sprint for the win, and again, very defensive driving. Medi looks up the inside of Lagadas in the battle for 4th. The alien car looking to split the 2 visuals. They head out the exit of turn 1, and he's been cast out of the midfield here into the middle section of this track, and he's forced to come in behind.
To go single file again through this part of the racetrack, and this is also probably the biggest issue for Simo on those soft tires. He can't get a move done so far, stuck behind Ferros, and his tires, we see the tire wear creeping in. Now, Dani with that half-second penalty just spotted that, so he won't be competing and for the overall win. So with that penalty, we'll be out of the slipstream range here as well. We have to go back to the 7 car lead group now. Chucho again going defensive. Jaime Marty on the inside. Oops, my keyboard. Benny with a dive of the century, and he goes into P3 for a moment. What was that?
I'm baffled. But that seemed so aggressive, so unnecessarily aggressive from Medi there. I don't doubt there'll be a reference to his shoes at the end of this race, because that looked to overstep a line.
Ooh, it's 4 wide.
More courage into turn 1. Ferro's up the inside of Medi. wide. Juju on the far inside line. There's contact between the three cars in the battle for fourth. Ferrell's closing out the middle. He's out wide. He's being forced out wide. Medi and Juju battling for third now as we head into the infield section. They're 3 wide behind them as Medi holds on to third position, but all manner and means of chaos happening here on lap 17, and that's managed to mean that Pepe and Marty are both the second clear of the chasing pack led by Hafidi.
Yeah, this was probably the I close my eyes and hope for the best moment. And lap turn 1 and 2. Oof. But yeah, I mean, we have been waiting for such a long time to see those battles now, and now we are seeing them and not getting disappointed. Simo with the fastest lap of the race, 26.8 now, but still just P5. Juju look down the inside, but no, he can't go for the move. And Simo now with the late move. Still probably the soft tires you can break a little bit later.
What a switchback that was. Fantastic effort from the Italian driver. And we said that gamble might have to pay off here. Simo's now in a battle for the podium. And if this isn't a good sign for the runners later on, as Simo tries to go around the outside and get it done now, Juju's going to make it a 3-wide battle heading into turn 1 for the 18th time. Simo and Medi side by side, Laganis and Juju side by side behind them. They hold position for now, but if this isn't a sign later on for the late session runners to maybe switch their strategy and work on the soft, as Simo's going to make it work round the outside for the inside into the left-hander. Phenomenal move from the Italian, and all of a sudden Team Monza Racing are going to get serious points on their hands here at this rate.
Also Juju, he said thank you for that little gap, got past Medi here as well on that penultimate lap, so it's yeah, now no one's holding back anymore. It's now man versus man, car versus car. It doesn't matter who it is, you just wanna finish in the best possible position. So the top two, they have opened up a nice little gap, 1.8 seconds, Pepe and Jaime Marti 1-2, and then again it's bunching up into the hairpin, and the second visceral driver went there for a move. It's hard to tell who is gonna get it. We're starting the final lap of this race, and we have 2 wide, 3 wide maybe coming into turn number 1. Again, look at that, cars are swarming out on that start. Simo going ultra defensive, covering the inside line. Can he hold it? Medi around the outside. Can he gain another position? There's Juju on the inside. No, Juju won't have it. What's going on? Scenes absolute cinema, but overall I think great and fair racing. Someone just went a little bit wide there. Don't know if it was just the camera. Simo having to defend now. Ooh, where to look?
Laganis was forced out very wide in the infield there, and he's really paying the price. He's going to drop down to 8th here potentially. And that's really bad news for Visceral. Jaime Marti will take home second place. There is a battle for the lead, though.
Yeah,
2/10 of a second between Pepe and Marti. It's caught us all by surprise because of the incredible scenes going on in the battle for third. But this battle for the race win between the Freeing car and the Visceral car might come down to the final turn here. So they head down the back straight for the final time. Very defensive driving from Pepe. Marti trying to make it work around the outside, heading into the hairpin for the last time. Pepe with that inside line, and he keeps it done with some very defensive driving, so we'll go all the way up to the line for the race win here in our first race of the night. And what a race it's been, but it looks like it'll be the Sim-Freem racing car of Pepe that takes the win in our first race of the night.
Yeah, we'll hold that. And Simo in P3, arguably Medi Juju. Oh, Medi with a mistake, he understeered. He lost that position to Juju, maybe also to Dani's teammate. That's not that bad. P5, P6, Ferros P7. And you got us P8 then. Sorry for the drivers and the teams behind, but the racing was just too exciting for that top group. So, yeah, apologies. We can't have our cameras everywhere. Sorry for that. So, yeah. Oof. So it was a slow burner, or what's that saying? Like it took ages, like then to get this race really on the way. But oh boy. Those final couple of laps. constantly changing positions between those drivers. And that's Perry now crossing the line, a P12. Righty.
Well, let's take a look at that race time then, I think, because at the moment, 28:24 is what we're roughly looking at.
Look at that, 28:21.
28:21, 279. That is the overall fastest time, beating out debuting for the Owls team in race one yesterday by about 0.2 of a second. And Jaime Marti in the lead Visceral car will also beat out that time as well. But what a phenomenal race, Jens.
Did someone call a victory for Pepe? I don't know.
No, I said a Visceral car. Oh no. It's 1-1. It's 1-1.
It's qualifying versus race. I don't know. Race points count more, right? So it's
okay. I'll get the bonus point. We'll make it 2-1 for you then. 2-1. Okay.
Nah.
But no. And can I just say, Stimo in third place, that soft tyre strategy might be the most optimal one. We saw it yesterday. We thought maybe, is that a fluke? Is that just the soft tyre runners having that clean air from going later on? But no, Simo's made it work here. He's managed to get himself up to third place. And if I'm one of the teams that's running in the last session of the evening, I'm thinking maybe I do need to consider switching to soft here. Because if Pepe or Marty had switched to soft, then who knows how far up the road they would have been. But when Simo came out of the pit lane on the soft compound tyres, I did not predict him finishing third, and I don't think anyone else did. That's a very good effort from the Monza Racing team on the strategy front, and that's got them up to a podium finish in what looked to be, initially, not a good race for them.
Yeah, but I mean, look at also those gaps, just under 5 seconds, P1 to P8. So those overall race times, they are pretty solid, even for those teams that haven't won the race. So that's interesting. The fastest lap, the 26.8, is not the fastest race lap overall. That's still at 26.5, right, from race 2 yesterday.
That is still a bonus point. It's still a bonus point for the Monza Racing team. It's not that 2 bonus points, so that's currently still held by the Azteca team.
All right. So, okay, so we have a short break, and then we'll be back in a couple of minutes for race number 4. So don't go anywhere, or just grab some food, grab a drink, whatever. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. See you there.
Yeah, finna get it. Watch me, finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. Used to know me when I nothing in my pockets. Now they see me and they talking, always watching. I remember when you said I wouldn't make it. Now you mad because I took it, didn't fake it. Pressing every day, yeah, I was patient. Putting all that work, no hesitation. Now I'm getting everything I'm chasing. Look at me now, yeah, I'm elevation. Finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. See me pulling up, they switching how they acting. Back then, you weren't here when I was lacking. Now you want a piece of what I'm stacking. But I remember everything that happened. Keep it moving, ain't no time for all that talking. I've been running to the bag, I'm never walking. They've been sleeping, I've been up until the morning. Now I'm winning and there ain't no way I'm falling. Finna get it now. Finna get it, watch me run it down. Finna get it, never backing out. Finna get it, yeah, I'm up and I'm out. Yeah, they doubted me, they did it. Now they proud of me. Now they are.
All right, back from the intermission. What a race it was towards the end. Holy moly. So some big sends, great overtakes, and yeah, a blistering overall race finish time here. So that's interesting. But yeah, we don't have that much time, just under 5 minutes away from the fourth race for round number one. And oh, we have another big favorite and competing now with Vanquish Esports. I think that's definitely someone to watch. I see in the lobby we have Emu and Flores driving for the team. You may have heard those names. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And Forrest joined us on the broadcast for pre-qualifying a couple of weeks ago, alongside Pierre and Kevin, and I asked him during that broadcast about how confident he was, and he just gave the most bog standard, "We're going to win," basically, is what he said. And if you look at driver lineups, we've got two drivers here for Vanquish in particular. Florian Zimmerman and Nikolai Sedziak have both been on the World Series before. Yep. They're two of the best drivers in the world. Sedziak, or Miu Miu in particular, in the last couple of years has come on a lot. And trust me when I tell you, it takes a lot to go and beat Mediafidi in a Nissan in the EMEA qualifiers for the Manufacturers' Cup. Yep. And he did that to secure his debut at the World Series last season, and he was a breath of fresh air. He was phenomenal. Definitely. And if he carries that form into this series, we very much have a star on our hands here, I feel. And alongside Flores, who, if we remember, has driven for the Netherlands in the Nations Cup back when we had the 3-driver lineup at the World Series Nations Cup. It was him, Kai de Bruyne, and Rick Kebbelham for the Netherlands. He's also the team principal. He's a really good guy, really quick driver as well. That's the thing. He's managed to take Vanquish up to one of, if not the best all-round team in the world. And so they are, make no mistake about it, they are favourites for this lobby, 100%. No one's denying that. But you look at the other teams we're going to be seeing. Krakenstein's GT are the other seeded team this evening. They've got Quedo and Manu, probably two of their biggest guns alongside Barilla maybe. As those three, Quedo and Manu will be representing them. Elite Racing Squad have probably brought out two of their best drivers as well in Bezzy and Nixo, the old Polish team. And then we also have the likes of EPLF Sim Racing or Hydro Rennsport, who we haven't really seen much of before. But this will be a chance for them to maybe make an impact in front of the cameras. And completing the lineup, we have another established team in this particular ecosystem in Maniacs Revolution. So a mix of the old and the new, the established and the up and coming, perhaps. But it should be a nice little race to end out this weekend with two of probably the title favourites for the entire series in Vanquish and Krakensteins.
Yeah. Yeah. Those remaining 6 teams, then we have seen then all 24 on track. So we get like the first picture season, and yeah, with Vanquish Esports definitely the favorites to win their group. But
yeah, definitely.
You will have to race, right? Don't get it gifted, even if you carry some big names.
No, true. And I've just been looking at the announced driver lineup, I suppose, for Vanquish. And I mean, lest we forget the likes of Konstantinos Konstantinou and Max Kroll. Max Kroll, who won the individual title at Pulpy last year. It was a fantastic effort from him. I was covering that race. I believe it was at Daytona, Blue Moon Bay, actually. It was a fantastic race. And Maxo ended up winning that one in a field which contained Coque Lopez as well, who was there as a commentator and just thought, I'll enter the time trial for a laugh and see what happens. And he ended up qualifying for the individual event because he's that good. But alongside Constant and Max, we also have a new signing for Vanquish, who's maybe gone under the radar slightly in terms of we haven't mentioned him yet. Arthur Mosso Nunes, the Brazilian, another driver who's been on the World Series as well, in the Manufacturers' Cup for Renault. So we talked a bit yesterday with Stefano about how having a very deep driver lineup means drivers can play to their strengths. There's not much fatigue. They're not having to race every week. That could be the difference between the good and the great season. And a team like Vanquish certainly have that in spades.
Yeah, and you mentioned Maxo, Martin. It's probably the only German driver in this competition, so I might be a little bit biased as well. So hopefully, I will see him then racing. I mean, it's not guaranteed that he will be racing. He's on the lineup, so it's a high chance that we will see him probably. But yeah, I keep my fingers crossed. So so commentator's preference for the only German driver.
And we also have in that lineup along the lines of sort of that area of the world, Flexi, a really young
Lexi is...
Austrian driver.
Oh, shut up. No way. Lexi,
No,
it's...
yeah, Flexi is in the lineup for Vanquish. He played a very key part. Played a very key part in the Vanquish effort at Pulpy last year. Didn't qualify for either of the individual events, but he is so young. He is so quick. He is probably one of, if not the best driver in Austria already. And like the fact he's made it onto a roster as talented as Vanquish just shows how talented he is. And then talking of commentators' preference, Mikolaj Sedziak, the only British Polish driver in the field, I'm going to say. So I'm going to maybe take my preference with him
British
as well.
Polish, yeah.
The British Polish driver. But I believe we are less than a minute away from qualifying getting started. So I'll hand it over to you to get us to the camera and get us underway for our second Super Pole session of the evening.
Yeah, should do that. And yeah, same format, so nothing has changed. If you were watching from the beginning, you should know how this will look like. We don't want to see cars parked up against the wall, so let's see. Still some cars driving on track, and yeah, 26.5 currently at fastest lap during the warm-up. Kraken, look at that. They are 1-2 currently in that lobby. And it might be the battle of the two top-seeded teams. And looks like qualifying is underway now. So, same format. Leaderboard is updated, so I got... Let's see if that is actually the case. No. So, top 6 teams are updated. You see that on the bottom left, and even with that overall fastest race time, the Freebie Sports team, they are currently P2.
By only 1.2 seconds as well.
Yeah. Here we go. That's your service, so the busy bees in the background doing magic stuff and keeping us updated with nearly live timing. So shout out to the crew and also to Pierre, who provided us with his back-end infrastructure for putting in all those times and stuff. So yeah, that's, I think, a nice addition to the stream here as well, so you see what's happening and you are updated as well as we are. And
we'll head to the parking lot now to begin our final hyperpole session of Super Pole session of the week, I should say. But I mean, we talk about the overall race time. That lack of fighting in the initial stages of the race has really benefited Freem and Visceral and even Alien to an extent, because we said yesterday, 92 esports finished 1 and 2 in their split, with the only 4th in overall race time and the potential to drop further back this week. So, this evening. So that lack of fighting at the start of this race, again, that's maybe something I'd be looking at if I was the likes of a Vanquish, an Elite Racing Squad, a Maniacs Revolution, who are trying to bump up their overall time as much as possible, while still obviously getting the points for winning the race as well. So that's maybe something I'd be keeping an eye on. But the first 3 teams we're going to see coming through here for our, I suppose, first mini session of Hyperpole, it's going to be the team we're on board with at the moment, actually, EPLF Sim Racing. We're going to have Hydra Wrenchball after that, and then Maniacs Revolution. So those will be the first 3 teams. And then the final 3 teams of the session will be Elite Racing Squad, Kraken Stains, and of course the top seeds in this pool in Vanquish Esports. So that will be the order they go from, but it'll be the EPLF team, FJ Martinez and Pablo Rubin, to get us underway when the direction is called.
Yep. Here we go. Move. Oh.
Here we go. There we are.
They had to do a 3-way turn, though, to come out of the parking lot. Too many cars in here. So come on. It's a bit weird to not see the cars like next to each other, but they will catch up during the outlap. I'm pretty sure about that. So again, same procedure. Come into pit lane, fuel up, and most likely change your tires as well. You have an entire outlap to get those tires up to temperature. And yeah, get rid of that little bit of red showing currently. Right, and go out and we will see them probably waiting for each other. Oh, not yet. Still have a little bit of time, of course. So Hydra and so I think we mentioned it yesterday and today as well. Shout out to the creative minds, delivery designers for those teams, providing teams and the spectators with some unique looking cars on the grid. Nice effort. And yeah, big shout out. Again, whoever you are, if someone in chat knows someone who does deliveries, feel free to give that name to us.
No. Do dump your favorite, the team or driver you're supporting through this series in the chat. Obviously, we've got 24 of the best teams in the world competing. Maybe some newcomers to the Gran Turismo esports scene in the chat as well. I know a couple of my friends are here this evening, so let me know what team you guys are supporting as we'll kick off our final Super Pole session of the week with the EPLF team, and Martinez has closed that gap to Pablo in front as we expected.
As expected. So will we see the bump draft happening before the start of the lap? No, not close enough to give that little bit of a help. So it's 2-3 car length, maybe the distance between the drivers, so a bit deep. You can bring it back in turn number 1. It's okay, keeping roughly the same distance, the same pace for now, into the twisty bits of the track. Right, left, right. You have to use the grass and the runoff area. Open up that long right-hander through that mini tunnel. Then get the power down. Downhill, cut the grass as well. Don't understeer towards the bridge. Brake. And now focus on the very important exit for the long straight. Don't run too wide too early on that exit. All 4 wheels on the green bit, and there's a penalty for you. Now we see the run through the last tunnel and braking for the hairpin just for the 100 board into second gear, third gear on exit maybe, or yeah, it's still second gear. Oh, there's a half-second penalty, and that lap will be invalidated.
Yeah,
that is unfortunate. Yeah, well, we talked about it yesterday, so this is like the most painful penalty you will get in the one-shot quali format. So no time to recover, and a 28.7. And for
rookie mistake. That is a poor qualifying effort there. And both of the Hydra cars missed the apex of the hairpin. I've been watching with them the entire lap. This doesn't look particularly
26,
good.
27, 2. That's still okay.
But
what could have been, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because it looked pretty bad towards the end of that lap. Now we'll look at the Maniacs Revolution cars, see if they can hit their lines. And yeah, very tight, very nice. And there, Borsman getting on the inside curb a little bit there, actually. So they're making sure they're on the apex as we head up the hill now for the final time of this mini session. 27-2, the benchmark from the Franfe of the Hydra Rennsport team. It'll be El Ferro to cross the line before Borsman for the Maniacs Revolution team. See if they can beat that time, and they do. 27-0 and the 27-1. It's a provisional front row lockout for the Maniacs Revolution team, but we still have half of the field to run, starting with the Polish Elite Racing Squad.
And next to each other, same as the Hydra team. So now we wait for the second wave. It's qualifying the Elite Racing Squad now. Getting ready to start their outlap. Bezzy and Nixo. 2 very fast drivers, so I also know them from the Endurance Racing Series I'm broadcasting. So different car, they drive a BMW M6 in that series, so but the color scheme is quite similar for the livery, so recognizable. on this one. And we have fucking others here. They were very quick during the warm-up, so keep an eye on them. And then it's the green team, Vanquish Esports, Floris and Mew Mew. Running. Alright, that's 6 drivers
interesting.
Ooh.
Interesting. We've got a driver swap down the back straight for the Elite Racing Squad team. Nixo Bezzy, I should say, going in front of Nixo, despite that not being the order they entered the pit lane in.
WRX now in front, so I don't know, maybe they feel like it's better the Lancer being behind, and maybe they can push a little bit.
Yeah, we saw that common denominator having the Lancer in behind with a few teams this evening and yesterday, so that might well be the case that they've opted to put the Mitsubishi in behind and use that extra top end to the Subaru to drag them along.
Not close enough for a bump, but yeah, mighty close now, so trust your teammate in front to nail that braking point. Also a bit surprised about the stopping zone. Wasn't it supposed to be the exit?
It was on the runoff yesterday as well. I'm pretty certain that must have just been a last minute change that Donat and the team at Mach 25 have had to make.
Yeah.
I think if you're pushing all the way up to the line, it's a bit unrealistic to ask you to expect to stop at pit exit.
Oh, big
Short
slide.
Here at Switzerland.
But we had purple sector, so ERS are on a good lap. Middle sector, a bit sketchy though. Can they bring it home and through the final sector, the long run? It's an early upshift. But gaining again, so they will be very close on time, the two drivers. Just nail that hairpin. Ooh, a bit sideways as well. I think better exit for Nixo, so I think he might get the upper hand on his teammate, but will it be quick enough to go on top? There is the bump draft. Oh, that is nice. A 26 incoming. Just no.
Now this Krakenstein's team. There's a bit of a gap there from Quello, but I'll tell you what, Manu Hernandez is one of the best young drivers in the world. The guy in front, he finished 4th in the elite competition individual at Pulpy, was right up to the championship fight. Very impressive effort. And there's a penalty for Quello.
No way!
That's going to cost him.
2 drivers.
So Hernandez is going to have to carry the Krakenstein's team on his back here as he heads up to the line. Do we break the 27s at long last? Yes, we do. 26.942. It's the fastest qualifying time of the week so far. And he is on provisional pole, but we still have the Vanquish drivers to run. Sedziak in front of Flora Zimmerman as they head up to the line.
Ooh, interesting.
And it's a 26.90 from Flora Zimmerman, despite not having as much of the slipstream as the rest of the field. He does set the fastest qualifying time of the session and of the week so far, so we can add 2 bonus points already to Vanquish Esports total. It's Flora Zimmerman on pole position for Vanquish Esports for our final race of the evening here at Deep Forest.
Yeah, and a very mixed front 2 rows. Like usually we had like drivers from 2 teams. Now we have at least 3 teams in the top 3, and it's a nice mix actually. Then further down the grid, so will we see a similar race to the previous one where drivers were taking it easy, working together, focusing on the overall race time? Or will some of the drivers be eager to get close to their teammate and make their strategy work? Nevertheless, the P9 with a 27.247, that is, I think, extremely close. And then two drivers who couldn't set a lap time with that penalty.
Yeah, we were just hearing in the chat as well. Alf, our sort of boss for the English section of Mach 25, mentioning Cuerdo losing his time. Cuerdo, actually another driver that came through the time trial qualifiers at Pulpy to qualify for the elite competition, which is the best of the best through the week. So to see him starting at the back will be a rather unedifying sight for Krakensteins and their team. But what I'm interested to see, Jens, is whether the Team Monza racing strategy from earlier on this evening has maybe persuaded some drivers to the soft side later on in the race. We talk about that pit window. On laps 8 to 11, we saw drivers come in for the medium strategy, so just straight start on the mediums, finish on the mediums. Whereas if you're looking at switching on to the softs, like it's been a very effective strategy this weekend. The top 4 drivers in race 2 were on softs yesterday for the second stint, as well as Simo there, who was eighth when he exited the pit lane for Monza Racing, and ended up working his way up to a podium spot. It's around about lap 12, you're looking at the pit window lap 4. I expect to see all 12 of our runners for the final race of the night starting on mediums, as has been the trend through the weekend, through the week so far. But keep an eye out for those pit windows and see if anyone opts to bolt these soft tyres for their second stint.
Yeah, I still think like the safe strategy is the medium, and if you're confident enough to get your soft tires towards the end of the race and get a good track position, then I still think that medium soft is the faster strategy if you're able to extract the pace. But if you're caught up with battling, I mean, even if we saw it in the previous race, it took Simo quite a while to get through that grid. P8 in the end, he finished on the podium, P3. But yeah, as you mentioned, I would like to see, of course, a couple of mixed strategies again in this race. But yeah, next question: who will win this race?
Oh no!
Oh no, go.
I think the Vanquish drivers are probably the most capable. I'm going to cover off in case the Vanquish driver doesn't win by saying, it's the unpredictable nature of Mach 25. Anyone can win at any point, but I'm gonna opt for my man Sedziak here, Mew Mew. I reckon he's gonna come through and take home the win.
So you had some praise on Manu, so I'm going with that young Spanish driver.
Oh, okay then. So we've got split allegiances again here. You're not that we're supposed to pick favourites here, but I'm with Vanquish and you're with Krakensteins. We'll keep an eye out for that as the race progresses. And as we say, do keep an eye out for Quedo. He'll start this race at the back. But he is another very, very fast driver who maybe people haven't had as much exposure to before, given he hasn't appeared on the World Series. But as we say, he qualified for the elite phase at Pulpy last year in the individual competitions, and he's one of the quickest drivers out there at the moment, maybe not to make a World Series event so far. So keep an eye for the Spaniards starting at the very, very back of the grid.
Yeah, that's definitely someone to watch. Starting from P12. We saw it in the race earlier also. Maddie started P8. He made up some positions early on. So it is possible, definitely, to get towards the sharp end. But how much risk can you take?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of teams will try to get their teammates bunched together as soon as possible, as we are about to get ready for this final race of the evening here at Deep Forest Raceway. Let's take it to Jens for lights out.
19 laps again for race number 4, round number 1. We go, and Flores starting on pole, Manu on P2. So far, the grid start, everyone did a decent job, not stalling the car, not jumping the lights here as well, and we're off. And Manu not with the best start. He is under pressure already. Mumu with a great start. Gets down the inside. Moves up 1 position, I think. Manu on the inside drifts that car into turn number 1. This opens up the opportunity for Nixo on the inside. But Mumu keeps that P3. So great start for Vanquish Esports 1 and 3. And Kraken driver in that sandwich. Let's see a couple of turns in the mid-pack. 2, 3, 4, 5. It looked clean so far. We are line of stern through this sector. Not big gaps currently, and Quedo already up to P9, so had a great start, already gained 3 positions. He started P12, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
short-term memory is not the best, but he started towards the back. The grid is in P9, and there's a little gap already opening between P9 and P10. So, and P10, 11 side by side, they're fighting. Let's see what's happening at the front end. There was someone very, very on the inside. Oh, and there was a spin.
Oh.
Someone lost it. It was Martinez. Was it friendly fire? I don't know. He's just shot
Quedo's
behind
got a penalty. 1 second penalty for Quedo. I'm not sure if the auto stewards have judged him to have played for that, but there was definitely a gap between 9 and 10 before that turn. So I'm not sure if Quedo instigated something that held up the other 3 drivers behind them. I think that maybe part of the portion of the blame is to be with him there. Although we'll get a replay on that maybe later on at the end of this race. But a 2.8 second gap, that is not ideal at all for the 2 EPLF drivers, as well as Quedo and Alfaro for Kraken Saints and Maniacs Revolution, respectively.
Yeah, he will be happy with the start, P12 to P9. He won't be happy with the gap and the penalty. Or now he's running with he'll probably losing those positions again. So at least down to P11 after serving that 1 second penalty. So yeah, effort undone probably. Flores, in the meantime, he is opening up a little gap already. 6'10", had a great run through the middle sector. And Manu is still there, same as the new the Hydra driver Nico SM with a good start as well to the race, up to P4. So I don't think we had him on our watch list.
No, Rensport Hydra, a team making their debut in Max 25 this year, 16th in the VEC and 24th in the Velocity Series, yet to even make the podium this season. But this has been a phenomenal start for Nico here. Franfe only a couple of positions behind. I doubt there'll be many moves made in the early phase of this race. I think a lot of drivers will take heed from what we saw in the first race of the evening, in that just keeping your noses clean and keeping everyone moving along at a decent pace was perhaps best mutually for everyone else in the field. And maybe we'll see a lot of the moves be made early on, later on in the race. But certainly, many drivers have had the opportunity for moves early on in this space. First down to 8, all packed up like a tin of sardines. Yep. There's been no real moves made so far, which I think is perhaps the most respectful and perhaps wisest thing to do early on in this race so far. Still 16 laps to go.
That's correct. I think that race number 3 that showed us the direction. Like if you're focusing on the overall race time, it's best to avoid those heavy battles at the start of the race. So get into the rhythm, stay within the group, and then focus on your pace. Maybe also save a little bit of fuel in that slipstream, and for the pit stop might gain you a couple of tenths, maybe up to a second, depending on how much you need to put in. And with those close gaps, so this could be crucial. And we see then that gap, P8 to P9, so that second group. So that's also a bit of a trend. So 2 groups are forming very early.
Yeah, and I tell you what, there was a lot of fighting heading up the back straight there, and that is not good. There's overtakes being made here, there's battles being had, and that is not helping any of these drivers. If you're either of the 4 drivers at the back of the field here, as Quedo looks at the inside of Pablo for P9 to reinstate his position at the top of this chasing group, if you're P9 to P12, you don't want to be battling, you want to be working with each other to try and catch that gap up. It's now 5 seconds. That gap's going quickly because the lead group aren't fighting. They're just keeping their noses clean and working together to try and pull away. Whereas this infighting is costing this group dearly as the gap increases between Quedo and Borsman in those 2 groups.
That's true, and yeah, I think Quedo is obviously the fastest driver in this group, so he needed to get in front and lead that chase group now. It's less than 5 seconds, so he definitely gaining on the group, but that nearly 5 seconds, it's a big task, definitely now at this stage, with the top 8 like being still in that compact lead group, and they are not fighting. So that's like the setup looks like the same as the previous race, so to keep it calm, work together, bump draft even your quote-unquote enemy, it's still worth. I mean, you're putting yourself in a better position for the end of that race. So a quick look at the fuel. Different cars again, damn it, but yeah, Boris and Manu, so Manu has a bit of a fuel advantage, but I think that's the overall theme with that WRX, so not as thirsty, can save a bit more.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that further back in the field, looking at the Manu's teammate, Quedo, he's gained half a second since we last checked on him, and crucially, he's 1.5 seconds clear of Pablo, the EPLF driver, and Pablo has a half-second penalty to serve this time round as well. So Quedo is pulled out of the slipstream of the 3 drivers behind him, and whilst he doesn't quite have the slipstream of Borsman in front, 4.4 seconds that gap is closing, so if Quedo keeps at his current pace, avoids any penalties, he can just do essentially time trial laps from here, and notch back onto the back of that 8-driver fight and make it a 9-driver fight. But this is really encouraging signs from the Krakenstein's driver as he's purple in the middle sector. It's a really good sign for him as he continues his fight to get back up towards that main group of favourites out front, who are continually acting very impressively and sticking in behind, but not fighting, not getting impatient, and keeping their noses clean. And that's one of the best assets you need to have as a Gran Turismo driver, is to not get overexcited and go for moves early on when there aren't moves to be made, and just making sure that you realise that sticking together is probably the best cause here.
It was an unintentional tap, Manu on Floris, but they kept positions. Not ideal, but Mew Mew takes advantage now. He used that momentum coming out of turn number 1 after that little contact, and now the BQS drivers 1-2. That's what they want as a team now. They can work together. We saw it earlier in those races, once 2 drivers with similar pace, so they can assist each other. And yeah, I'm curious to see if they can open up a gap, or if they still play it safe. And then just wait for the final third of the race, and when the racing action will definitely pick up again. So yeah, it still looks like very, very calm. We have oh, there was contact. Hold it. Just but lost 2-3 tenths out of that hairpin. Was that crucial for Nick? So he should be okay still. A second roughly. A little bit of a bump maybe to bring them back. Would be in everyone's interest from P5 down to P8 to not let the top 4 run away. It's 6 tenths, so late on the brakes, and that definitely helped. So it's still 8 drivers then fighting for that top spot, and we have 3 teams with the full lineup in those top 8.
Yeah, very good effort from Wrenchbot Hydra as well, actually. So there's a move being made in front. Mew Mew up into second now, ahead of Manu, so it's a Vanquish 1-2 as things stand, and that's probably ideal, because if these 2 drivers can get a gap, it's going to be difficult to do so, but if they can get a gap and pull away, these drivers, what they can do, and what I expect them to do maybe later on down the line, is kind of rotate the lead, because as we keep mentioning this hole being punched in the air by the lead driver, he has no one to tuck in behind and save fuel with. And looking at the fuel at the moment, Floris has quite a bit less than Mew Mew. I mean, it's not significant, but it's enough to perhaps make a difference as to whether drivers can come in a lap earlier or a lap later. So if Mew, I think the strategy here is if Flores can hold up the field a little bit, maybe let Mew in front, and then Flores can get on the fuel save a bit. Because as I say, that might be the difference between him coming in a lap earlier than expected, or him coming in at the expected lap. As we now see lap 8 come around, and that means our sort of unofficial pit window opens up, and we can expect to see drivers coming in for the medium strategy from around this point up until lap 11, and then once we get to lap 12, we're veering on the medium soft sort of strategy, which has been prevalent in the last couple of races, the first one this evening and the last one yesterday.
So we need those fancy overlays. Pit window open now. Predicted strategy.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But yeah, I mean, it's the fourth and the final race for round 1, so everyone should know about those strategies. And yeah, history showed us end of lap 8 up until 12, 13 maybe, if you not too sure about the softs towards the end, but I think end of lap 12 should be the latest, and to complete the pit stops for those drivers. And still the top 8 fairly close. Let's see the gap. 1 to P8, that's 3 seconds. Cuerdo,
but look at the gap between P8 and P9. Yeah, he's gained nearly a second in the last lap and a half. If he can get tucked in behind Bezzy before he comes in for his stop here, that gets him right back in the fight. Because make no mistake about it, Bezzy, even in P8, even 2.7 seconds back, he's still in with a shout of the race win because he's in this main group of favourites, and anything can happen in that group. If Cuerdo can find his way back up into that top 9, right in behind Bezzy, there's a chance for him here that he could push on and maybe recover his position. That he was always in that position, maybe recover that gap and get fighting like the pace we know he has, because he's had a bit of a nightmare race so far, especially with how things went in qualifying. But if he can recover it here, he has the pace to do so. It'll be very impressive.
Yeah, but he needs to push. He's using a bit more fuel, of course, than not be able to run with that group and save a little bit with that slipstream. So, but it's the best shot he has probably to push and try to get close, and then maybe hope for 1 or 2 small penalties from other drivers to somewhat then tow them back towards the group towards the end of the race. We can, I think, agree that Cuerdo is one of the quickest drivers in this grid here, and yeah, bit of an unlucky start to that race. All right, so end of lap 9 and no pit stops so far, so everyone is still running, at least the top runners. Keep an eye on
move
drivers.
made.
Swapping positions, you mentioned that.
And Manu might take advantage of it up the inside of Flores. Very opportunistic driving from the young Spaniard here. Forces Flores a long way around, and they're going to stay side by side through the infield, but Flores will have the inside line for the next sequence of turns, and indeed Manu does file back in behind his Dutch counterpart. But yeah, as I say, maybe perhaps the best idea. I think Flores does have quite a chunk less of fuel. If you actually look at the fuel deficit between Mew and Flores at the moment, he's got a chunk less than his teammate. So if he can get in behind Mew and get that fuel save going, get them back on an even keel. Some drivers still have nearly half the tank of fuel left. This is very impressive.
Wow,
We're seeing fuel deficits all the way through the field, and we could see some drivers coming at the end of this lap. Those with slightly more fuel left might be looking at that. Soft drivers needs a penalty for Flores. Ooh. That's a nightmare for him. And Manu's going to try and make the move early on anyway, side by side down the back straight. They're topping out already, these cars. Manu without the slipstream in front. Flores will still have some left from his teammate. That shouldn't matter too much as Manu takes the inside line on the vanquished team principal and driver, and he gets the move done. This is very good for the Hydro N Sport car of Nico, and he could potentially be a beneficiary of this next time round. And Flores serves a penalty as they all come into pit lane.
So there goes someone will go onto the soft tires.
Well, yeah.
At least I think top 8 drivers. Let's see, also Cuerdo is in, so they're playing it safe. They're not trusting those soft tires. It's interesting, and I'm actually a bit surprised. So that no one went for the alternative, and at least from our perspective, looked like a very valid alternative and a fast way to finish that race.
Yeah, we have the only driver staying out at the moment. Again, it's that sort of last chance gamble that we spoke about a bit earlier on with the Team Monza racing cars. Similar sort of gamble needed for the EPLF sim racing driver here of Martinez and his teammate Pablo Rubin. He's also staying out, but he's had a nightmare race so far. He's still behind everyone, even though he hasn't pitted yet. So it's a big issue for him. But both the EPLF drivers staying out for now, and maybe looking to make that soft tyre strategy work.
Maybe, yeah. And also interesting, Mew with a massive fuel advantage, so he has a 2-second lead over Manu now. And Flores with that penalty now, he has to serve it this lap. And look at, it's such a close grid, so he might be losing 2-3 positions. Yeah.
But crucially, Mew is out the slipstream of Manu. Manu doesn't have any slipstream in front. This has kind of formed 3 little groups now, 2.1 seconds the gap. If you're Flores, you're looking to play disruptor here and try and get these drivers, try and battle and get these drivers having to fight and get their elbows out, so Mew goes further in front. There's no drivers' championship here. Teams are having to play the team game throughout this championship. So if you're Flores, you're wanting to try and get these drivers behind, battling as much as possible to reduce that gap. If you're any of the other drivers, so Manu, Bezzy, Franfe, Nixo, you're wanting to work as hard as you can to try and close that gap now to Mew in front and stop him getting away as the race goes on. Still 7 laps to run here, so there is still time. But if you're Flores, you're wanting to make as much of a group of that as possible, try and get people disrupting and get people attacking and battling, so Mew can pull further away. 1.8 seconds of the gap as things stand.
Yeah, and there's a good hint in chat. So Manu, he has put in a little bit of extra fuel, so he might be able to push towards the end. And maybe Mew has to fuel save a little bit, so this could get interesting. For now, Manu leading that group with Bezzy and Flores, and there could be a little gap to the RS Hydra driver in behind, so looks like those 3 drivers are still in contention, at least for the podium. I think with FJ Martinez, now he's very low on fuel, so he has to pit. I think this lap, maybe can he extend? I don't know. It looks tight. I think he's coming in. Yeah, so
yeah. He'll probably bolt on the softs here now and try and make it work, because it's a 7-second gap to Mew in front, so he's going to come out quite a way behind the main group of favourites. But if he could potentially find himself in a battle at that sort of the back of that main group if the soft tyres work out for him. But it's a big ask for the EPLF driver. They've not had a good race at all so far.
Lap times are dropping. 97.2 for Frank.
Moves being made. Flores having to defend really hard here from Bessie, and as we say, really trying to play the disruptor here, because all this is harbouring time for the other group. So from Flores back to the likes of Bessie and Franfe to Mew in front. That gap is closing. 1.4 seconds is a purple sector from the British driver, but Manu's really pushing here, using all that extra fuel that we spoke about earlier. Meanwhile, Mew on the full save here. You can see that the tyres, Manu is slightly less tired because he's pushing just that extra bit harder on the medians. It shouldn't make that much of a difference, but it is a sign that the Spanish driver is reeling into Britain slowly but surely here, and this is all gearing towards a crescendo in the final couple of laps of the race between the Spanish and the British driver.
And Vanquish Esports still in a good position. I think Flores didn't defend from Bezzy. He went for that move. He was running behind, so he made up 1 place. And if he can stay with Manu, so he still has a shot, and especially for the team itself, running 1-3 at the moment. And with that race, how it evolved so far, not much battling going on, so they should be up there for a really good overall finishing time as well. So this could play into the cards of the QS team. They're in a good position. The second best team, I think, are ERS, P4 and P6. Now for Hydra, P5, P7, yeah.
But Manu made 6/10 of a second up on Mew in that last lap. So if we keep at current pace, we can expect a battle for the lead within the next couple of laps. But I'm looking right behind him. I'm looking at Flores at the moment. if I'm Florist, I'm wanting to maybe try and make a move down this back straight to force Manu to fight, because that's going to cost him time. Because it's clear the Spaniard is quicker at the moment than the car in front. But if Flores can get by and try and make some moves happen, that's going to slow the pair of them down. And that's going to maybe play into the British drivers' hands here for the VQS team. But they are looking in a decent position for now, as you say. But we'll keep an eye on the next couple of laps, because Forrest might look to make a move pretty soonish here if I was him. And he does go for the
he's
move.
going for it.
Up the inside. Up the inside of
Cut
Manu.
back.
Manu tries to switch back himself, the cover shot. But Forrest does get by for now. They're going to go side by side up the hill to start the 15th lap. Forrest going right to the track limits, all the way up, and he does get the move done. And look how much that's improved the gap. 1.1 seconds now. There's at least a couple of tenths gained from the start of last lap, just purely off of that battle there, and that battle will continue. Hard defensive driving from Flores as he forces Manu to the outside line all the way around as we head into turn 1 for lap 15. Manu trying to make it work with the extra traction all the way around the outside, right up to the curb on exit, side by side up the hill into the infield section. Manu will have the inside line for this next long turn here, but that turns into the inside line for the next braking zone as well. There's contact between the two. Contact! It's contact! And Flores is forced out wide, and that's allowed Bezzy through for the Elite Racing Squad team. But Manu's just about held second position. Bezzy gets up to third, but there was contact between Flores and Manu, but Flores has been pushed further back. But that gap, 2 seconds now, another second gain from Mew Mew, and that could prove crucial at the end of this one.
I mean, it just felt like you pulled out your magic 8-ball and just predicted that one lap ago. So, like, they should stop fighting, and it would have Mew Mew, and exactly what happened. Like, crazy things happening here. So yeah, definitely Mew Mew the one benefiting the most at this stage. And now, let's see, it's basically now the same, 4 or 5 laps to go, and it's heating up throughout the grid. Now it's time to go for the moves. Team. Good thing for Manu is now that Bezzy sits between him and Flores, so he might be the saving grace, at least for this lap. Yeah, Flores couldn't get that move done on Bezzy, and also the ERS boys, P3, P5, so they're in a good spot as well. But how much time will it cost them now fighting for those positions? That will be the question, and we have a quick look at Ricciardo. He's nearly 6 seconds behind, so I think he had to take on a little bit more fuel. So he already P9, the best he can get. Back to that fight for P2, still 2 seconds for Mew Mew. So that looks promising for VQS, and Manu has to go ultra defensive. Can he hold that inside line? He's not defending that aggressively, so he will leave that inside line open. Flores looking for the move. Oh, and Bezzy gets it.
And now he has to set after Manu here.
Yeah.
Because Manu's got a bit more of a breathing gap now, 5/10 of a second after that battle. And he's managed to catch up about 4/10 in that last lap to Mew Mew, 1.5 seconds the gap now. But if Flores could get in the toe of Manu down this back straight here, catch up with him through the infield, and then make a move down the back straight towards the hairpin next time round, again, that's going to cost more time to Manu, because we're into the final 3 laps of this one now, and drivers that aren't necessarily going to be bothering about playing the long game anymore, they're just going to want to fight for position. So Flores really needs to make the running here and try and pull that gap back to Manu, because it's now only 1.2 seconds. He's nearly in the toe of Mew Mew, and once Manu reaches that magic 1 second mark, it's a purple sector from the Spanish driver. If he reaches that 1 second mark, I think this is game over for Vanquish. I think Mew Mew really needs to put up a good fight here, but Flores is still in the toe, half a second now as we head down the hill and towards the back straight. I reckon Flores is close enough for an attempted move here.
Yeah.
Force Manu to go ultra defensive, and then that would maybe pull the gap further away from Mew Mew and play it into the Britain's hands. So watch for a move here for Flores up the inside towards the hairpin for the 17th time.
He has the overrun already. This time, Manu going defensive, covering the inside line. Not giving Flores the inside for the hairpin, parking it on the apex, but cost him a little bit. A tenth or so. It was 1.4 when they entered the back straight. It's, yeah, let's see, still 1.4. So, but he's not gaining. So that's probably
That's the thing. That's the thing.
still
It's not
okay.
gaining. Yeah. And he's still going to have to go defensive here because Flores is going to make a real issue of Manu here. Around the outside, the Dutchman's going to go. Maybe try to switch back if Manu goes deep, but no. Strong, resolute defensive driving here from the Spaniard. He's really having to fight for position here. This is all playing into the Vanquish Esports team hands because if Flores wasn't making the move here, I reckon Mimu would have been caught by now. That's the thing. But it's still a 1.2 second gap, and if we keep at this current rate for the final 2 laps of the race, Mimu might just about hold on. But keep an eye for that 1 second gap. If that gap goes to 1 second, Manu's going to have the toe of Mimu, and that could reel him in much quicker than he has been going before.
And question is, will Miu have enough fuel? So he had less than anyone else after the pit stops. So did he manage to get that fuel back into the range? He's still okay, 1.2, but then again, this fighting behind, very early. Too early, maybe? Oh no, Manu is on the inside, Flores on the outside again. We saw that earlier again. Manu parking it on the apex, but giving
3 wide behind,
yeah.
This is mental between the 2 ERS drivers and Franfe up to start the final lap of this one. 1 second the gap now. That's the 1 second mark being reached. This is all coming to a fantastic crescendo at the start of the final lap of this one. Mimu leads from Manu and Flores. Is Flores going to try and move up the inside? No, he's not quite close enough as we hold the apex for the start of the final lap and into the infield section. But look, that gap's now down to 0.8 of a second. Manu's in the tow here. This could be a 3, 4, even 5 horse race for the win here because we're in the tow now and Miu is in trouble, but he needs his teammate to come to the services now.
Yeah, half a second though. So this could be spicy, and as predicted in chat, the final hairpin, it will decide everything, I reckon. This close race again. We still have 7 cars. They're fighting for a podium. And this time, Manu with a slipstream, but Flores less than 2/10. So what's...
Oh my goodness gracious.
What's it gonna be? Mimu going defensive. Doesn't give Manu the opportunity. There goes a little gap.
Oh, it's side by side for the win up the hill.
Yeah, it's the run to the line. Woo!
Oh my goodness me, they're up the hill now. They're side by side.
There was
Mimu
contact.
and Manu up the hill to the line. There's contact.
Undercut!
Yeah, Manu
The run to the line, the 2 drivers, who will take it? It will be Manu who gets it on the line. Oh, crazy finish.
What an effort.
Wow. Sorry for the other drivers. It's still massively close in that mid-pack. 8 drivers within 3 seconds. Wow.
Oh my
what a
goodness
finish.
me.
Holy.
What an effort from Manu Hernandez, the young Spanish driver.
He looked left, right, left again, and found that little gap with that overspeed. And wow.
And props to Miu as well. That was very fair defensive driving up to the line there as well. No issues there, no real incidents at all to speak of at the end there between the 2 front-running drivers. But what an effort from Manu Hernandez. Krakenstein's GT pick up our final race win of the evening with a time of 28:23. It's still not the slowest time of the night, despite a race winning time of the night, I should say, despite all that infighting actually.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness me, what an effort from Manu Hernandez to take home the race win there.
Wow.
And deserved one as well on the basis of that.
And once again, it was also a battle between the commentators' picks. And who got it again? Yeah. But I mean,
I shouldn't have given you that tip. I should not have given you that tip that Manu was a good driver. Manu's a rubbish driver. You know, no, I'm joking. But no, that was a fantastic race, and props to all of the top 6, really, top 6, 7, 8, all in with a shout there. It was a fantastic effort from all of them. What a race, and what a way to bring to an end what's been an incredible opening 2 days of action, Jens.
Wow, yeah, definitely this Definitely makes marks a great season opener, and we want to see more. So when is the next round? Next week, I guess, already.
Next
Monday,
week, yeah.
Monday already. So there's not much breathing room, of course, for the teams and the drivers. So basically every week, with an asterisk, we have probably one off week somewhere, because Polyphony Digital decided to put on a World Tour Series live event at Milan. So they screwed with the IGS calendar. So how dare they? Nah, it's fine.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's a big event, and a couple of drivers will be there as well, competing on the live stage here, competing in this series. So yeah, I'll play then for them
Yeah.
to get some rest, and they can get their way back home. I'm stressed for the series, but yeah, still like plenty of racing action to come over the next couple of weeks, and yeah, different tracks, different cars, then so it shouldn't be boring at all. And after those 4 races, that's crazy good racing here.
Absolutely. And, we speak of me saying Deep Forest Raceway is my favourite track in the game. That was testament to it. But I tell you what, Jens, you won't believe what I'm about to say here. My second favourite track in the game is next week,
No
because
way.
we are headed to Australia for Mount Panorama, baby. I cannot wait. And we're going to be in the Group 4 cars. The teams have a choice of 4. We have to pick one per driver, so they can't have 2 of the same car. They've got, in terms of cars to pick from, they've got the BMW M4, they've got the Alpha 4C, the Aston Martin Vantage, or the Renault Megane Trophy. They're 4 Group 4 cars to pick from for next week on the 13th and the 15th of April. So bear in mind, we do have a day gap between those two. So the 13th and the 15th, next
Yeah.
Monday and Wednesday, will be our second round of the championship. The groups will stay the same, but they'll be round robin basis. So, for example, you see there, Vanquish, Maniacs Revolution, and Avitado will stay together all the rounds of the championship, but they'll play all the other different groups. So I'll have all manner of means of combinations. And at some point in this series, we will have Vanquish and Simfree in the same race together. So that'll be one to look forward to. But do bear that in mind. Next week, there is a 1 day gap. So Monday the 13th, Wednesday the 15th, we'll be at Mount Panorama in the Group 4 machines.
Will be a great race. Mount Panorama Bathurst, also called Mount Death for a reason. So that should be definitely a fun one, and I think I have so nice little sneak peek at that traffic route to Australia, and maybe one of the cars we will be seeing there on that poster.
Yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting to see what cars the teams opt for, because no doubt all these teams over the next week will be testing all 4 of the cars.
Yeah.
Seeing what ones. They won't just be a cut and dry BMW, Alfa Romeo for everyone, like it was tonight with the Mitsubishi and the Subaru. They're going to have 4 cars to go through. Drivers are going to have certain preferences, which is where that long lineup comes in, up to 15 drivers in a team. So there's a lot of different factors at play. I'm personally really looking forward to next week and seeing what drivers pick what cars. I think that's definitely going to be a key factor.
Definitely, yeah. So watch out for the announcements then with the stream. So it should be the same time for the first 7 rounds. So you can, I don't know, save the dates in your calendar as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I will be again producing and moderating the first
And I'll be back as
race.
well.
Yeah, it could be the case. So yeah, make it 3 in a row. Why not? Because it's fun. So that's all to know. Yeah, right. So I think the busy bee in the background hasn't finished the standings yet, so I can't show them to you, unfortunately. So you will have to wait. And
we are. No, we've just been told it's fully updated now.
leaderboard is fully updated now. Look at that. There was the announcement.
Literally just in the past couple of seconds. We cannot blame you for that.
Just in time, and at least we have the first page. Let's see. I have the second page ready. it's a aha! It worked. So shout out to
beautiful.
the stuff in the background. All right, let's go through the positions. So we saw it on the top 6 sneak peek during the races already. All esports, they are leading. Pending incident reviews, stuff like that, of course. So everything with an asterisk, of course. So, but I think reviews and verdicts shouldn't take that long from what I have heard. So next 2 days, maybe Thursday, Friday at the latest, we should have the final results for round number 1. And then you will also find those information on the website. If you're interested in that, check out the Mark 25 Gaming website for the Infinity GSeries as well. You'll find all the needed info, teams, schedule, standings, verdicts, whatever you want. So you can spend many hours on that website and digging into all of the details. So yeah, still low gaps in the overall time, so not much separating the teams so far. And first race, it delivered. It delivered, definitely. So
absolutely
looking forward to then round 2 on Monday, and hope to see you there again. Join us, and yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask anything in chat, of course. We have an eye on that stream chat, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And Mr. Jada in chat just in time. Hey, buddy, you're up as well for comms and broadcasting duties. So it's a fun series. So you will have lots of fun. Looking forward to do some commentary gigs with you as well. But yeah, that's for the future. For now, that's the end for this broadcast. Round 1, great racing. Hope to see you next Monday for round 2. Until then, take care, everybody.
Goodbye.
And I'm going one more time full cam, just because I can, and say peace out. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.